Okay guys, I just wanted to do a quick topical video. I've been thinking for a while what topical video to do, because I've had quite a few things swirling about in my head, and I've been kind of playing about which one to talk about really. But I've decided on one, and it's about EA and Activision. Now there's been a lot of scorn loaded on EA and Activision over quite a few years now. Pretty much from probably, I would say from 2008 onwards, probably a bit earlier. I mean, EA really got it bad first, and have still got it bad, and then Activision quickly followed, and for good reason, I think. I mean, I don't need to go into detail, but obviously you've got all the passcodes, the on-disc DLC, which is, you know, it's essentially DRM basically, just selling people a game and then denying them the access to the content on the disc, and then basically charging them again for a code to unlock that on the disc that they've already paid money for. Plus you've got all the day one DLC, loads of other things, the sequelitis kind of problem that's going on, the lack of innovation, some of the comments that Bobby Kotick, or whatever his name is, came out with quite a while ago. I'm sure there's loads more. I'm sure there's quite a lot more that I haven't mentioned, but you get the picture. Recently there's another one that's been added to that, and I'm sure there might be a couple of other publishers, but Capcom have been they've been going down the toilet really. They have just don't know what's going on with that company anymore. I don't really buy Capcom games. I mean, the only series really that I have bought in recent years is from that company is Resident Evil, which I bought for the Wii, and that's going back some years ago now, back when back when Resident Evil 4 on the Wii was released. Brilliant game on the Wii. It was like that game was made for the Wii, because the controls were so good. But apparently, from what I've heard anyway, I mean, all the DLC is pissing people off basically. Too much DLC. It's like, and I heard some people say about the whole thing with Street Fighter as well. I know they released one Street Fighter quite a while ago. That's that first, Street Fighter they released for this generation, and then it seemed like they released another one, but it seemed exactly the same. So I don't know. And then there's the whole Resident Evil thing that's just kicked off as well. To be honest, I don't think Resident Evil 6 looks like a bad game. I just think it's too far removed from the original concept, of what Resident Evil is meant to be, like survival horror. So that's what I think anyway. So anyway, getting back to the issue, EA and Activision. I've been thinking about these two companies for quite some time, and I'm not sure about Capcom, that's a thing, but EA and Activision, I think the problem with these two companies is they're too big. They're way too big. In fact, I think they're so big they're actually bloated. Probably they're just bloated. They're just obese. They're too big. They need to cut their operations down. Back to, I don't know, maybe last generation, or the size of how big they were in, I don't know, the PS1 days. they really need to cut their operations down. From what as far as I'm concerned, part of the problem is with these two companies is they keep buying up developers left, right and centre, and they've been doing that over the years for quite a long time. Now I know this is nothing new. I know Sony have bought, you know, developers, and Microsoft have done the same. And you know what? It hasn't always worked out, has it? Really, to be honest, I think a publisher should stay. I think a publisher should have its own development studio or studios, but they shouldn't go out of their way to start buying up all the other studios, because if you look at Microsoft and Sony, I mean, it hasn't worked out, has it? Look at Psygnosis, and I mean, Psygnosis was kind of a publisher as well, weren't they? Sort of. And if you look at Microsoft, with Rare, I mean, what does Rare do these days? I mean, over the last couple of years, I mean, all they do is like dashboard updates and Avatar. They did all the Avatar stuff for the the Xbox Live dashboard. I mean, that's pretty sad, really. I know they did Nuts and Bolts, and they did Viva Pinata, and they were really good games, but they never really caught on, and they haven't really gone on to do anything else. I mean, it hasn't really worked out. I think publishers should have their own studios, internal studios or studio, and that should be it, really. And I think the same should be said of EA and Activision. I think that's part of the problem. EA and Activision over the number of years, they've just bought development studio after development studio, going on and on and on, and they've got so big, and they've bought so much under, you know, the one operation, that they've got a mammoth, you know, they've got a mammoth operation to feed. Basically, they've got to keep the train going, they've got to keep the money flowing, and when they've got an operation that's so big and so bloated, and they've got so much under their wings, that they've just got to keep on going. They've got to find new ways just to get the money and to keep that going. And I think part of that is, you know, all the problems, all the stuff that as gamers we've seen from these two publishers that we don't like, you know, on disc DLC, passcodes, some of the comments that Bobby Kotick has made. I think these two companies need to just be publishers, and that is it. They need to just be publishers, have their own studio or have their own studios, and all the other studios that they've bought up, they should just sell off and just cut their operations down to size, because at the end of the day, they're kind of becoming like how can I put it? They're kind of becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, the bigger they get, they're trying to get better by being bigger, but by being bigger, they're actually getting worse. And by growing so big, it's becoming part of the problem of a lot of the things that people hate about these two companies. And it's really sad, because the companies used to be really good back in the day, and things have just gone so wrong. I mean, these days I don't want to buy anything from either company. I do like Battlefield, but I'm you know, even Battlefield's gone a bit. I mean, they took a lot of Call of Duty elements from the game and shoved it in the multiplayer for Battlefield 3, and I don't know, man. I don't think I'd buy another Battlefield, to be honest with you, especially if they're going down that route. Battlefield, I know a lot of people said that Battlefield 3 is more like Battlefield 2, but the Call of Duty elements are still there, and they didn't need to do that at all. Having said that, the single player campaign was pretty good, and Activision, well, they've got Call of Duty, and what's that other series they've got? They've got, is it Rock Band, or is it another one? I don't know. And Then there's Activision Blizzard, which is obviously part of Activision, and I think even World of Warcraft is starting to lose a lot of players now. I think that's even starting to go downhill. So, you know, these companies are facing problems. I mean, people are getting pissed off, they're not buying the games, yet they're trying to come up with, again, it's that self-fulfilling prophecy. A lot of people are pulling back from buying their games, especially brand new, and especially at full price, so they're coming up with new ways to make money. But it's those new ways that's putting people off buying the games brand new. So it's kind of like it's like I said, it's kind of like a self-fulfilling thing, you know. Yeah, so I think these companies just need to go back to being a publisher and just maybe have their own development studio or development studios, and that's it really.